Welcome back to my channel. This is Abel from Abel's Treasures. Today, we're going to talk about madness. We're going to talk to Will from Reseller Madness. I'll put all his contact information down below because I definitely recommend that you follow him on YouTube or Instagram. He has a lot of insightful information, and not only that, very entertaining. He provides value, training, but also of just goodwill. So, Will, thank you for coming onto my channel. Before we get into it, remember to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, share with your friends because that really helps out the channel. Let's get started. Let's jump into it. Thank you for coming onto my show. I've been following you for a little bit for a while, and one of the things that stands out to me is that smile. Normally, I don't say that to a guy, but honestly, it's that smile, that enthusiasm that comes through on the camera. Because I know you through Instagram and I know you through YouTube, and that's very infectious. So thank you for putting that out into the world. I really do appreciate it. Now, so I'm not doing all of the talking. Do me a favor and tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, Abel, thanks so much. I've been following you for a while too, actually. Who am I? What do I do? My name is Will. I have a channel, Reseller Madness, and I resell. I pick up stuff at yard sales, thrift shops, estate sales, flip it online for a profit, and make funny videos about it. And I've been flipping for 4 years, something like that, and making videos for about 1.5 years.
Okay. What got you into the videos?
You know, way back in the day, I actually got a film degree. I was a Hollywood wannabe to some extent, and found my way onto a couple of film sets, did an internship at a special effects house, and really fell in love with it, but I couldn't seem to make a living in it. You know, a little dabbling here and there, bumbled around Hollywood. I ended up going a completely different direction, but you can't take that fire out of a person. If they love film, they're going to find a way to do film. It took me longer than some of my peers to actually get back around to doing it, but now that I'm in it, it really scratches that itch that I couldn't scratch for the longest time. So YouTube videos and, you know, shorts for Instagram, things like that too.
Mm-hmm. And that's, again, it comes through on the videos. I keep looking over here because I have your YouTube and Instagram up, but one of the things that impresses me about you is I love the guys on your shoulders, just I'm going to call it the antics that you have. I watch thinking, oh, I wish I can do that, you know? So saying, I wish I can do that, I haven't put the effort. And the difference there, in my opinion, is that passion. So how did you get into film? That I'm curious about that.
You know, the passion is something, if you've got the passion for doing that kind of stuff, you'll find a way to do it. You'll find somebody else who's teaching you how to do it. You'll learn it. You'll, you know, spend the time editing to kind of accomplish what you're trying to do. For me, I just love the goofball stuff. I love making a complex gag that's difficult to do and pulling it off. The timing is something that I'm continually learning. But what drew me to film originally, just a passion for cinema. I loved movies. I was very adamant about never stopping a movie partway through. When I was much younger, I would watch the whole thing beginning to end. Shh, movie's on. Everybody has to be quiet now. Don't interrupt me. I have to. So into it. And that passion took me to film school. And the film school, as I said, kind of led in a roundabout way into this YouTube thing. I worked on horror movies, and I loved the effects for that kind of stuff. I loved coming up with props. I loved painting, molding, casting. Some of the props you see in my videos were things that I made here. The effects, you know, a little bit of green screen stuff, all of that. It just brings me such joy to do it. And I know I'm getting, 100 views, 200 views sometimes on this stuff, and I'm spending 2 months working on it. That's fine. Okay. I'm doing it because I love it for me, and eventually the people are going to follow along and enjoy it along with me. And that'll be my audience, the ones who do follow along.
Yeah. That's a beautiful answer, because you're doing it for you, for your passion, what you enjoy, and you're not doing it for others. But then I've also heard this isn't
that way. That makes it sustainable. If I wasn't interested in what I'm doing, I couldn't keep doing it.
Yeah. And you're going to attract the people, your community, that's going to enjoy the same thing around. Now, I don't have that experience, but I enjoy your videos because of the madness that you have in there. And the creativity that you have in there. So you are going to get those people around you that you want.
Abel, I appreciate that.
Keep going, because, the subscribers count doesn't matter, but at the same time, it kind of does, because those people that will be following you are the ones that are truly going to support you.
It absolutely matters. And you nailed it. You nailed it. Finding the right audience that's going to interact is really important. Absolutely, 100%. I'd rather have 1,000 very active followers than 1,000,000 inactive ones. And I've heard mega YouTubers saying the exact same things. Guys that have 10 million subscribers going, ain't nobody interacting. I wish you guys would leave. I won't go that far. But that's what they're saying is, I wish you guys that aren't going to interact would leave. I'm on the other side of it saying, I want to draw the right people. I want to get the right people that I can give value to and who are going to actually receive the value. And that's kind of, if you don't mind segueing into that, value is at the core of everything that I do. Value is at the core of reselling. Value is at the core of videos. Value is at the core of my interpersonal relationships. Properly valuing the right things and then trading the less valuable ones for the more valuable ones is the big, big message of most of what I end up teaching.
I love that. That's awesome. And I see the value. I'm staying in those videos because I just watched one regarding Xbox 360, Xbox One, the remote control. And that's what I was sitting here. Okay, that's true education. You're providing something for someone. I may not need that today because I haven't found a controller, but I know where to go now. You know, if I get 2 controllers and I'm like, oh, I need to figure out what it is, besides opening it up, those are helpful points. So
you're talking about the Xbox controller differences one, the 360 versus the Xbox One.
Yes.
I got torn up for that video. That was a huge pain point for me because people that are familiar with that niche already, the video game niche, are the ones who are finding that video. And they find that to be a very basic thing. Just looking at the 2 controllers, they're completely different looking according to everybody. People who are not in the video game niches who I made those videos for, people who don't sell every single day in it, who don't play these video games, but they want to be able to make some money off of it.
Right.
Those are who I made that video for, but I attracted all the video game playing audience and they tore me up. You're so dumb. You don't know how to tell the difference. I've been playing on a, and then insert some random object. I've been playing on a coffee mug in my garage for the last 10 years. No wonder it didn't work. They ripped me up for that video. But you know what? I got a lot of interaction on it and I got a lot of views. So failing upwards, that's kind of where I'm at on that.
A friend of mine, we were talking, she has a large following on TikTok. And as she was gaining that following, one of the things I said was, you know, find something controversial and have a conversation. And that's kind of what you did there. I don't see it as controversial, but apparently it is.
Yeah, a lot of people found it far too derivative and they were willing to heap scorn on me for it. And you know what? I'll take the comments. I'll take the views. Keep them coming.
Yeah. And then it also lands for the people like me. I'm a PlayStation person, don't know very much about Xbox, but I want to know at least enough to be able to pick one up and see where the value is.
Make some money on it, absolutely. Match the right controllers. If you find it in a box at a garage sale and it's got the wrong controller with it, you negotiate because it's the wrong controller. Hey, it's not complete. Can you give me a deal on this? Oh, well, how's the controller? It got the wrong controller.
Right. Yeah. There's always that knowledge is power, right? And we're always learning.
Absolutely. And I've seen on your Instagram, and actually I think maybe it was YouTube Shorts, you were flipping a lot of sports stuff, sports shirts, sports hats, like Raiders hat and things, and some video games. Am I right that those are kind of your niches, some of the video games and the sports memorabilia?
Sports memorabilia, really the vintage. That's kind of where I'm finding value and my joy, my passion. For me, the vintage there's a story behind it. I've sold some Lewis Marks toys from the 70s. And really, I think one of the reasons why there's passion there is normally I'm talking to my uncle who got me into reselling. So we're talking about, hey, he remembers watching that as a kid, you know, and then so we have that connection. But not only that, what's important to me when I'm at garage sales is talking to those people. When I pick them up, I'm also hearing the story about those toys. I remember when I was playing with it as a kid, and all these nostalgic thoughts or memories are coming from them. And it's just a great connection. So vintage, I like researching it. I'm continuing to learn, you know. I always go to the point of you will never know everything. I know a lot now, but I have so much more to learn.
Oh, absolutely. I like that you say connecting with people at the yard sales too, because that's something about sports is that it really does connect people from across the nation, from all different time frames, different generations and decades can still bond over a Raiders hat, over 1970 sports memorabilia.
Right.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. The kind of going to staying with that topic though of vintage clothing, the Raiders hat. I didn't know it was going to have value. I made up a number because I couldn't find it. So again, that's another way I'm learning. I figured $70 for a hat is fine. When I bought 200 hats for $20, so I'm like, yeah, I could get rid of it.
Oh my goodness. Well,
now each one doesn't have that value, but it paid for the box. So I was like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So how did you get into reselling?
Yeah, what started me into reselling? I used to yard sale for video games, and I just liked my own personal collection. I had a Super Nintendo game here, I had an Xbox game there, and the collection started to grow, and it was paying for itself. I would buy 3 items and sell 1, buy 3 items and sell 1, and so it would just grow, and really I kind of was revenue neutral on it. But at some point, I was thinking about it and thinking, I could do more than this. I don't sell on eBay yet. I'll just, sell at yard sales and make a couple of bucks here and there. And it wasn't very profitable, but it was helping me with the collection. And I said, I could just do so much more than this. What if I started selling more stuff than just the games? And so I started picking up freebie box stuff. A little of this, a little of that. If I found other items I knew there was value to, I'd throw them in my yard sale pile and I'd flip from one yard sale to the next. And that kind of helped me understand arbitraging the values of things, which was fun, and there was a rush to it. I'm sure my wife got really tired of hearing how I kept flipping a $5 item into $8. But she was very supportive, and at some point she said, I really got to quit my job. And I said, yeah, you should quit your job. She was working, 20 hours a week, something like that, and we had 2 kids at the time, and a third one was on the way. And her job was very flexible, and they said, you can just bring the kids for a while, until they said you can't. And the kids were a little too disruptive for the office, and it just wasn't a good fit anymore. And she said, I need to leave. It's not profitable. I'm paying for childcare now. I'm driving the kids all over town just so that we can take them to the proper places. And so I did the math actually on it. I said, hon, I really want to know what you're making at your job. So we sat down, we figured all the commute time, the gas time, the taxes she's paying, all the associated costs, the childcare costs. We were cheapskating a family friend to get them to do childcare for us. They agreed to a very low price, and because that was all we could pay.
Yeah.
And even after that, she was making $1 to $2 an hour. $1 to $2 an hour working this job. And I said, we can replace that easily. Let's resell. She said, okay, yeah, let's just dive into this reselling thing. Let's do it. I said, you give me 30 minutes a day instead of the several hours a day, and we're going to replace your income and more, and we're going to pivot towards this resale thing. And so we leaned into it pretty heavily. I started going to Kohl's, picking up stuff. That was one of the first arbitrage items I picked off the shelf was Kohl's. I went and got some Nike sandals. Utter failure, complete failure. I'll come back around to that in just a second if you're okay.
Okay.
But we leaned into this resale thing. I learned to do eBay. I watched some YouTubers. Some of my early favorites, I watched Hustle at Home Mom. They changed their name. They're now Side Hustle Nation, Chaz and Trista.
I've heard the name.
Rally Roots, I watched. Don the Auction Professor, and there was a handful of these guys that I've been kind of following along with for a while now. They all got me into this, and so I'd watch to learn different niches from them and learn how to do the eBay gig, and slowly built it up. Built the store little by little. And 4 years later now, we're running on all cylinders. I love doing this resale gig. I still work. I have a fullish time day jobs, 35 hours a week. It was 40, and I've cut it down to 35 now with an eye to head down to 20. But I resell every single day. So am I full-time reseller? Am I part-time reseller? Yes.
You're a reseller.
I'm a reseller. I'm a reseller.
Your wife, is she reselling every day as well, or just
she helps
listing
me out
when she can?
Yeah. She is kind of the lister to a certain extent. I pick the items, I'll photograph them, and usually I'll draft with just a price and photos. And I say, it's all yours. You do your thing.
Okay.
And so she will list it and she'll assign it an area in inventory. And I do a lot of the shipping myself. But in past times, just depending what's going on, she's shipped for me.
Okay. So tell me about these Nikes.
These Nikes. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so I was in the midst of moving from one house to another, and I was trying to sell at the same time too.
Sure.
And I picked up these Nikes and I listed them. I probably spent an hour listing these silly sandals. They're brand new off the shelf, but I didn't know the platform. Had to learn shipping, had to learn all the item specifics, had to learn photos. My photos were terrible because I had a piece of paper. I had a cell phone. Didn't matter. Got it done. Started. And so I sold these things. It was, I think they were $10 or $12 sandals. And I sold them free shipping for like $20. So my profit margin was like $1. It was not an exciting sale. And so I shipped them out. And almost immediately, as soon as they got there, I got a claim back that said, oh, these are fake. I said, there's no way they're fake. I got them straight out of Kohl's. I have the receipt. And I started looking around. I don't have the receipt. I could not find the receipt. So I said, okay, send them back. No problem. So they sent them back. But remember how I said I was moving?
Yeah.
Didn't update my return address. I updated my billing address on eBay, but the return address is kept in a different setting entirely. Mm-hmm. And so they sent it to my old house where somebody else was already there, and I never saw the item again. I had to refund. I didn't get my item back, and I'm pretty sure I got a negative on that one too. Complete and utter failure from my very first arbitrage item on eBay. Complete failure, but I didn't let it end me. I said, I can still do this. I can still do this. Persevered on. I'm really glad I did.
Yeah. That's an amazing story. And that's a small snippet of perseverance that I love talking about. Let me ask this question. I'm not even sure how to ask it, but with any reselling, any business, there's struggles. If you feel comfortable, what is one struggle that comes to mind to you for you and your family as you're reselling?
Nah, it's all sunshine and roses. There's absolutely no downside to reselling. Anybody that tells you otherwise is lying. Oh my goodness. No, you can find struggles anywhere, but actually in my mind, if you have the right mindset to take these struggles on, they're all manageable. Every single one of them. In some cases, there's a knowledge gap, and the knowledge gap can be filled with relationships. You can find someone who knows what you need to learn to get past that gap. Other times there's friction with various people. It could be friction with a seller you're buying from. It could be friction with a buyer that you're selling to. Yeah. There could be scams. There's bad purchases. You think you know this is a really good buy, but it turns out you didn't do your research all the way. You thought you did. You saw all the sold comps. Well, turns out they weren't actually sold. They were just ended. Oops. Yeah. Been there, done that. A lot of different ways that it could go wrong. They're all manageable. You can get past every single one of them. You can recover from every single pitfall with very, very few exceptions. Like legal situations, learn and take calculated steps there with legal stuff. Don't sell a banned item on eBay. That's a difficult one to get past. But what do I personally struggle with? What is something that's in the way of my business? I would say I'm trying to pivot right now from yard sale purchases to wholesale. And for me, it's a knowledge gap and it's a comfort gap. I'm getting my paperwork in order right now. I've got an LLC registered and I've got some more paperwork to go along with that. I need to find suppliers, wholesale suppliers. Yeah. And there's a knowledge gap there. Fortunately, I know people. I know some guys that already do what I want to do. And so I'm working very hard to learn from them and to glean all the knowledge that they're sharing with me the same way that I like to share with other people. Right. And that's my biggest struggle, and it's more a work in progress and not something that's hindering me, just a task that I'm slowly making my way through. And it's enjoyable. It really is, to be able to overcome these things. If there was no struggle in any of what we're doing, would it really hold our attention? Would there be any stories to tell? Right. Probably not.
Yeah. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Maybe. I've seen people absolutely fail to do really easy stuff. So I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, that's true. Your story actually reminded me of something. Hold on.
I love it. I love that phrase.
So we were talking about the retail arbitrage, also failure. Failure. I think of failure as a positive, just what you were saying, we can all learn from something. I went to the Nike outlet and purchased some shoes, sold them for, I'm kind of making up this number, 75-ish plus shipping.
Yeah.
Went through eBay authentication, sold them as new. These are those shoes. I just got them back today. They look new, right? Here's their tag. Well, they sent them back as unauthenticated because not as described. I've never had that before. This is my first one. So what I get to learn is that on these pair of shoes, as I looked closer when I got them back, at first hey, they're new, let's sell them. They do have those little creases in there, and there's very small, you could barely tell that, yeah, they probably have been worn. There's some creases there. So, yeah, so I understand why they sent them back. Everything else is clean. The soles are clean. I bought them brand new, I thought, from the outlet store. But that was a good opportunity for me to learn to, first of all, look it over. And then second of all, don't assume just because you get something at the store that they are considered brand new, including at the outlet, right?
You would think so. It seems like a logical thing. It came from the retail store.
Right.
Should be new.
Right.
But, question mark.
Yeah. So anyways, as you were talking, that was one of the things that I was thinking of. That's another learning opportunity for me. And hopefully anybody that's watching that's doing retail arbitrage, just look it over. Don't assume the obvious, because sometimes someone took it back and they threw it back on the shelf.
Yeah, there's a few types of those sort of things that I've seen. One of them would be when I'm yard sailing, if you find a box for some sort of technology, a camera, an iPad, a computer, something like that, many times the owner will take the old one that they have and put it into the new box. I don't know why, but it's a phenomenon a lot of us see all the time. And so the old Sony camera goes into the new Sony camera box. You pick it up, you shake it around. Oh, yeah, it's in there. No problem. You forget to actually check. You might end up with a $5 camera in a $50 box.
Yes. And let's keep rolling with that. The other thing that I saw in your short was opening the battery compartment on anything, really, but
yes.
On toys. I know that. I 100% know that. My uncle has told me that 50 times a day when we go out garage selling, and I still forget. I've still had some of those. So anyways, always open the battery compartment.
Some of that corrosion can be cleaned out. It just depends on how much time you want to spend on it. If it's a $10 calculator or something, free shipping, I would not be cleaning the corrosion out of it. But if it's maybe a rarer video game controller or something like that, an old handheld, sure, spend a little bit of time. You can try. There's various recipes online people use to clean the corrosion out. For me, just a toothbrush. I just brush it out. And if the batteries don't connect immediately, move on. Not worth the time. My business model is not in refurb. It's entirely in just flipping. So I get the item here, bought it for $1. I'm selling it for 10. Yeah.
And that's where some of us forget. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, if I got to do a lot of refurb, my dollars per hour go way, way down. And to me, that's my most important business metric. How many dollars am I making per hour? And if I can keep that number high, well, I'm doing pretty good. But anything I do that lowers my dollars per hour, I need to stop doing that task.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, though, if we're going to jump another topic, you talked a lot about leadership, this leadership program that you went through. Who was that with, and what's the purpose of learning leadership for you personally?
Great question. Thank you. That was with the company called Next Level. I actually, I'll tell the whole story. Do you know John Cincinnati Picker?
Yes. Yeah.
He put out, and I don't remember when this was, September of last year, his way of giving back at a time was to mentor other people. I'm like, sure, why not? Because I enjoy meeting people, things like that. We got on a phone call, and it was supposed to be like a 30-minute mentor session. We ended up talking an hour. We just hit it off. It was a great conversation.
All right.
I love that, that when you're just flowing with somebody and just having that conversation. Well, he, as we were talking, this was before, well, let me take a sidestep. I'm currently full-time as a reseller, where my bookkeeping business is really more of a part-time. So I flipped it now, starting in January, to where bookkeeping was full-time, you know. Um, and that's kind of what we were talking about was there's something I need to flip a switch for myself to be able, I'm intelligent enough. I have the know-how, the determination, all that good stuff, right? To be able to do it. So why am I not successful to get it done, to go full time? My
Hard
definition.
questions, aren't they?
Yeah.
Those are hard questions.
Yeah. And this is when he was going through that leadership course. He's like, I think this course would be good for you. And I signed up. One, when you are looking at somebody who is successful in my eyes, right? So I'm like, okay, automatically he has that trust. So I was like, okay, I'll consider it. So I'm an analyzer. So I analyze their website, looking it over, things like that. I'm like, okay, I like leadership. My prior world, I was in management at a corporation, things like that. So I was always studying leadership. This leadership course was nothing like I've ever taken before, because it was more emotional leadership. You can't lead someone else unless you can lead your own emotions and your own self. And that was kind of the premise that I took out of that, of being able to look out. And this is something I've realized for you when I'm watching some of your stuff. You'd rather help other people, right? And not expect something back. And that's who I am as well. That leadership course kind of really created a vision and a focus of, this is how you can help people and continue to develop yourself as who you want to be. So that I really enjoyed that leadership course.
Awesome. And you plan to use the leadership concepts that you have, is this more in social media, or are you looking at employees for your bookkeeping? How's that work out?
The leadership course, I plan on using it in everyday life. So number one, some of the things that I've always wanted to do and never did was journaling. Journaling in the morning was something that just really clears up the headspace, right? You have all this stuff that you need to do throughout your day, but you're thinking about your troubles in life, whatever it may be. The journaling really just clears your head. So that's one of the things. Now, how am I going to take that into my business?
Journaling was part of the leadership?
Yeah, that was one of the recommendations. And it's something again, you may get this too, it's something I know, but never did. Right.
Yep.
And so there's so much that I know, but never applied. And in this leadership course, you not only have yourself, but in my case, I think there were about 20, 25 different people that I'm still connected with today, that we continue to talk about what our goals are. And, how you're showing up on a daily basis. I'm talking to John, and I don't know if you know Tony Miller up. I'm going to get his name wrong, but he's also a reseller full time, to where we're supporting each other.
Am I right that Corey was in that with you too?
Corey was in that as well. Yes.
Yeah, I thought so.
So another person I talk to on a daily basis, and one of the things that I've gained out of that leadership course is Corey is someone who will tell you how it is. And we all need that in our life, right? So we've had some in-depth conversations of, hey, you're not showing up anymore. What's going on with you? So I didn't like the conversation at the time, but it is definitely very valuable, and vice versa. Hopefully I provided the same value to her as she's provided to me. So that's number one, building a community. That's kind of why I'm focused on that. When you were talking about your channel and having people, how are you building that community and how are you showing up? And the way I see you showing up is someone who's vibrant, who wants to give back by knowledge or anything. I also saw you had your garage sale and you were giving the rest away free to another reseller, so you can kind of get them going. That stuck out to me as well.
That was the plan. I reached out to a couple of people, but nobody took me up on that offer. I was going to fill somebody's car, a couple $100 worth of stuff.
Right.
Nobody apparently needed it. So right now, a lot of that stuff went to the thrift.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the plan. Investing in the people around me, because I fully believe that there's a lot of value that I can give to the people around me if they're willing to accept it. And that's one of the ways: value in inventory, value in money, value in advice, value in relationships. There's a lot of different ways that I can pour something into somebody else's life and make it better if they're willing to receive it. And that's always the sticking point, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes.
Some people just don't want it. That's okay. There's someone else who will.
Yeah. That's actually something else I got out of that leadership course. They call it like lone wolf, right? I can do it myself. I can get this done myself. I don't need to ask questions. Just the harder I work, it's going to get done. And through that process, I was really challenged. Well, why don't you ask? And in this case, it was in the leadership group. There's 20 some people. They all have different talents. Just say what I'm struggling with, and I bet you there's one person that knows somebody who can help you out.
Oh, yeah.
So
absolutely.
So let your ego go, and it's hard for me to do. Let your ego go to be able to accept help, because I'm someone who enjoys helping as well. So I think that's why I connected with your stuff. Go ahead.
Pardon me. Did you view yourself as a lone wolf before that part of leadership?
Yeah, I did.
You did. I think there's a lot of lone wolves in reselling, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a lot of us.
I say it's a lonely business, but we don't have to make it that way. That's what I realized too. I've been on the phone while I'm listing, talking to somebody. John and Tony, we've done Zoom calls for an hour. They're listing, I'm listing. We're just, having conversations. So again, building the people that you want around you and supporting them, not just using their knowledge and don't be a taker, right? Making sure that you're giving.
Both, absolutely.
So yeah, you got me way off topic, and I love it. That's great question.
Fun. I love these rabbit trails. That's what makes it all worthwhile. Yeah. Tell me, what else did you want to cover then? If you want to kind of recenter us.
Oh no, recenter. I mean, including I'm talking to Reseller Madness. I want to go mad. No, I really enjoyed the way it went. Yes, I've been waiting for that hat.
Madness mode now.
I have been waiting for that hat. I was hoping that you might come on screen with that hat.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, I wanted to kind of have some dramatic tension, build us to it, right? If I brought this out in the first 10 seconds, I don't know how many viewers would drop off, but we got them now. They're here for the long haul. Guys, check it out. This is my yard sailing hat. If you guys have not seen this one yet, I go out and I wear this when I go to the community yard sales, and I see all the crazy interactions I get with people because I'm wearing a crazy hat. And I've had people that remember me from one year to the next, and they go, hey, it's that guy again. Come on back. We remember you. They want to make deals with me. They want to know what's going on with the channel. I use it as an opportunity to hand out my little flyers for the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear you again.
But
I just love it. And it brings a smile to so many people. It also drops defenses. Because if you go running up into a yard sale and going, hey, dude, you got any video games? They're like, well, you and the last 25 people have asked, and no, I'm all out.
Yeah.
But if you go up wearing something crazy that completely disarms them and amuses them, they're willing to have a dialogue with you. And I've had this happen so many times where I would say, you got any video games? No, well, no. And I just chit-chat a little bit because they're conversational. And I say, well, sometimes I just ask about the video games because people have like a box in the garage they forgot about, and it's just been sitting there for years. And just kind of let it ride, let it simmer for a second. And I'm amazed how many times I've had people go, come to think of it, I actually do. Because I opened up those doors. We're having a conversation now instead of, you said not being a taker. Take a second ago. Yeah. Absolutely. Because I came up and I was conversationalist first. I didn't just run up and demand value right away.
Right.
I talked. I gave value. I gave interaction. It's key in so many different aspects of what we do. I like that you highlighted, not just taken.
Yeah. And what we do as resellers, but in life and business, I mean, creating friendships, people that, I don't have a lot of friends or anything like that. Well, again, back to the leadership course, how are we showing up? If we're going out and say, be my friend versus, hey, let me get to know you. Who are you as a person? Let's make that connection. Just like right before I hit record, I wanted, and maybe I do it too fast, but I want to make a connection with you, Will, before I even hit record, so we can have a genuine conversation, right?
Oh, absolutely. Set that groundwork.
Yeah. But yes, that hat I've been waiting for. I was excited for. Actually, I want to talk a little bit more about that hat. And again, I ask questions because of where I'm coming from, or sometimes what I call my limiting beliefs. I can't go to a garage sale, and I'm saying this with utmost respect because I do respect how you're doing it. I can't go and act a fool. I'm going to say it that way. I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
I'm cool with it.
And I can't do that because of who I think I am. I'm very more laid back, more subdued most of the time. And then when I get to know somebody, might be days, might be weeks, then I act the fool. Then I'm myself, right? How do you get out of your comfort zone to be able to just be yourself at the beginning?
As an introvert, it's very difficult to just go and start talking to people. It is really difficult to strike up a conversation and find a way to become interested in somebody that you may never see again for the rest of your life. But I've rotated that a bit. I've turned it, and I've looked at it from a different perspective and thought, this is an opportunity to try something out that I would not be willing to risk with friends, that I'd not be willing to risk with coworkers, other people in my life. This is an opportunity to take a risk and see if it pays off. And you know what? I'm at a community yard sale and I can take a risk after risk after risk and try it and see what happens. And I found humor to be one of the best ways that I can just open up doors and chat with people. It takes them from a perspective of them versus the buyers, or it takes them from a perspective of all these strangers on my doorstep. Why are they here? I just want to get rid of my stuff. And instead, now it's almost the basis of a friendship. And I can start making jokes. I can show up wearing a silly hat. I had one lady point at me from like 2 doors down. She pointed at me and go, "There's a knucklehead down there." And instead of getting all like upset about it, "What do you mean I'm a knucklehead?" No, I just leaned right into it. And I said, "Knucklehead? How could you tell?" And I come running up, laughing and having a grand old time. And being able to just kind of not just take their defenses down with humor, but also lower my own defenses, have genuine interactions with people is really enjoyable. And it's a great experience as an introvert to bust out of what I'm used to, quietly keeping to myself, quietly doing my own business, quietly working on things. I could sit in silence for hours and be perfectly happy if I got something to do. But busting out of that is also really enjoyable. And this is one way that I love doing it. One way. I'd love to get some more costumes too and just try other crazy stuff. I got a pirate costume over there. I might try a pirate costume for kicks one of these days.
Yes. How long does garage sales last for you in California? You're in California, right?
Most of the year actually.
Okay.
You can.
I was thinking Halloween when you said pirate.
Around. Yeah, you can go. They'll usually taper off close to the Halloween time, so it starts getting chilly again. Kids go back to school. Garage sales taper off. But I mean, I've garage sales in January, even. It's just there's not as many. I'll do usually the big community sales, so I can hit up 100 houses in one shot, 200 houses in one shot, and do like months worth of sourcing in one day.
Also, as you mentioned, you're an introvert. So thank you for mentioning that. I don't see that in you, but I'm also an introvert, and people have told me they don't see me as an introvert as well. To me, I explain it as it's very exhausting to get out of my shell and get outside and talk to people. There have been times where I will go take a nap after having a conversation and doing that. How does your energy feel after garage sales or after an event where you're an introvert and you got out of your shell?
Yeah. That's really close to the definition I use for introvert too. There's a lot of kind of leeway in how people define that. And I always use the definition that you either expend energy with people or you expend energy being alone, and that'll tell you whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. And I find yard sailing to actually be rather exhilarating, and I usually come back fairly excited, but just simply all the work of picking up stuff and driving from place to place to place is exhausting for sure. Right. I recharge by just taking some time being quiet. go to my garage, do some work in the garage, do some hobbies, work on some videos, come up with an idea for maybe the next goofy gag that I got on my YouTube channel. And that's how I'll recharge after that. Naps, never could nap. I don't sleep a lot. I actually sleep only a couple hours each night, and never ever take naps. I just go.
And we're coming towards the end, and there is a question that I ask everyone, and it doesn't have to be about reselling, but it is, I think it's a question that's important. My channel is called Abel's Treasures. What is your greatest treasure?
Got to be family. It's got to be family. And I think that's probably a fairly common answer for that sort of thing. But it's the why behind what I do. I don't do business just for the sake of business. I do business to make money. I don't resell just because I love reselling. I resell because it's one of my favorite ways to make that money. And the money in itself is not the end goal. The money allows me to support the things that I really love, to buy some freedom. That is, I can take vacations. I can take time off. We can purchase things we need. We can purchase things we want. I can support my family and give my time, my resources to my family through what I do. And so the why behind the what is always where I look for the treasure. And I would say my greatest treasure is what I give my resources to, is my family.
You're right, Will. Family is the greatest treasure. Now it's my turn to select 3 takeaways that I pulled from this conversation. Comment below what you pulled out of the conversation, because I know there was just more than 3. But here are my 3 takeaways. Number 1 is passion. Passion will always find its way back. That's kind of what I pulled from that, because Will was talking about how he has a passion for cinema, and that he got away from that, and he was able to incorporate that passion back into his YouTube channel. It may not have looked like he was originally planning, but now he's able to give back through his YouTube channel and continue his passion for cinema. So again, if you have a passion for something, don't give up on your dream. Continue to get better at it. Number 2, investing in others. And this is one that why I connected with Will too. I mentioned how he reached out on Instagram. If anybody wants some free inventory, come and get it. His garage sale was done and he was trying to help out someone else. So what I'm seeing Will doing is he is not sitting back. He is taking an active approach of putting good into the world by finding opportunities to do that. Thank you, Will, for doing that. That's something that I strive to do as well, and I will continue to strive to do that. And number three is the struggle. You know, I like asking that question because I like to get everybody's perspective of how they persevere. And Will's perspective is a little bit different than I've heard from others. His is solution-based. Now, don't get me wrong, other people's were solution-based as well, but what he went into was, okay, there is a gap there. What is that knowledge gap to where my struggle is? Sourcing. Who do I know that is a good sourcer? Or he's wanting to go into wholesale a little bit more. Who do I know that's already doing that? So he was looking more at a solution-based. And then finally, part of the struggle, it's fun for him. I mean, everybody's had that opportunity that they were struggling and then they were able to successfully overcome that. And it's so satisfying at the end. I believe that's what he was talking about in that struggle of finding a solution, taking action on that solution, and that satisfaction is what keeps us wanting more and more. So again, Will, thank you for coming onto my channel. I really appreciate it. And everybody, remember, the greatest treasure is connections with people. Take care of each other.